Good day, ladies and gentlemen all around the world. On today's show on Sputnik Africa, we have the legend of Nollywood himself with us. He's Kanayo O Kanayo. And today we are going to discuss some key aspects of Nollywood and how it has been nurtured so far, the quality of actors that have been Nollywood have produced, and as well as going to how Nollywood can shoot for cultural diplomacy between the Russian Federation and the Nigerian movie industry. Sir, you are welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
So, the first salvo of the day goes thus. Nollywood has produced many iconic actors like yourself, but few have left a legacy as impactful as yours. So, could you take us back to the beginning? What inspired you to venture into the film industry? And did you ever imagine Nollywood would become a global powerhouse in the film industry today?
Thank you for your question. I feel honored to be here. First of all, sometimes in life you don't plan for all you get. You take one step at a time and pray that goodness smiles on you. When some of us left secondary school and so on, we try to get our hands busy doing something. Suffice it to say that sometimes joblessness can make you get into things you never bargained for, as is the case in Nigeria or Africa as in general. When I was in secondary school, I used to be called Commissioner for Entertainment or Minister of Entertainment. That's because I used to single-handedly organize the Saturday night entertainment. So when I left secondary school, I started appearing on television in Enugu. I had my secondary school in Aba, then went to Enugu, which is a distance of about an hour, 30 minutes drive. It wasn't surprising to those I attended secondary school with that I had ended up on television. Now, it didn't come quite easy. It came at a cost, I would say, because you will attend auditions, and somewhere along the line, you may be found very suitable for what they are casting for. But also to say that the statement I made earlier, one had to look for jobs here and there. You wanted to be a civil servant, and then you go to a place, you're interviewed, nothing comes out of it. Then you go to the Nigerian Television Authority, which had the monopoly then in the 80s, monopoly in television. Private televisions were not in focus then. Then you attend one audition, and they say you are the person they've been looking for this role. And then they give you, and then you come again the next week and so on, and you have another role, and so on and so forth. And the story is what we have today. So it's not as if one, by design, had meant to be on television. So it's a checkered history of attempts, sacrifices, staying power of commitment that has brought some of us to where we are today. Also, somewhere along the line, some people also left the industry to chase some other trade. I want to tell you, my brother, when we started, there was really nothing to encourage anyone. Monetarily, job satisfaction, there wasn't. So we sacrificed sweat and blood to build the industry. People were going into the banks to make more money, sell Forex and so on. People were getting into the oil industry. So some of us, by providence, stayed on in the movie industry, and it's our own oil today. And I think that's where I will stop it.
Right. So, Nollywood has grown into the second largest film industry in the world, though some people might have their own opinions about the ranking. How would you describe Nollywood's transformation over the years, and what key moments do you think propelled it onto the global stage?
Thank you. Another good question, I must tell you. everybody is entitled to his own opinion about growth, about development, and so on. But don't ever think anybody can take it away from Nollywood, either in terms of quality or in terms of quantity. But I think there was a time Nollywood did outdo Hollywood and Bollywood in terms of quantity of what would churn out, because it became an African competition where other parts of Africa were coming to Nigeria to learn the trade. I remember we were at the forefront of Ghana coming to Nigeria, Ghanaian stars coming to Nigeria to learn the trade. Ghanaian producers coming here, collaborating in partnership with Nigerian producers to produce and then go back home. They were understudying the industry. And after understudying, that's what you have in Ghana today. That's what you have in Cameroon. That's what you have in some parts of Africa. So it's a matter of opinion for anybody to say Nollywood is this. The most important statement I make whenever I talk about Nollywood in this guise is that we are not where we are supposed to be, but definitely not where we used to be. Nollywood has made giant strides. And talking about where we picked up, before now, there was no cinema as in what we have today. Before now, people go to the theaters to watch and so on, especially in Nigeria. But when we evolved the home video, people could now buy the tapes and go to their house to watch. That was the turning point. People can now relax in the comfort of their homes, in the comfort of their shops, in the comfort of whatever, restroom and so on, and put in slot in a tape, and they are watching. So that gave rise to the quantity being produced, and then ultimately gave rise to the quality that we have today. So it's a cornucopia of growth along the line of self-development for the industry and for the actors. So the industry has witnessed its ups and downs, and the story that can be told today is that we've been able to tell our own stories to our own audience in the language they understand. How would you feel as an Igbo man that you're in Russia and somebody's speaking the dialect of your village? That is the selling point. How would you feel that you are in Russia and see a road in your village where they have made a movie? So we now came close to the heart of the people. We were now being seen in the African light of engaging our culture and its values. And people could relate to that. So relatable stories make people want to patronize your product. If you are in Russia, a far distance, millions of miles away from the Federal Republic of Nigeria or from Ghana and so on, it is an African representation to see your fellow Africans doing something that the Western people nations used to do. And that's exactly what led to or catapulted us to where we are today. I think, I hope that answers your question.
Absolutely, absolutely. So Nollywood is known for its unique storytelling, often blending drama, folklore, and social themes. Which Nollywood genres do you think best define the industry, and how have they evolved to attract international audiences?
Another good question that will not be wasted on the altar of speaking English. The fact of the matter is that when you put your best foot forward, you will make history. I read philosophy is my first degree, and the Western nations don't see an African kissing in the film as being original. They believe kissing is for the white man. So our cultural stories were the selling point for Nollywood. Traditional stories were the points that nobody could compete with us. So we did not start comparing or contrasting the English speaking or the love and so on. And that's why today I can answer your question in one word to say that people are now craving for the original Nollywood stories told in the 90s than they are craving for the ones made in 2024 and 2025. Though the platforms are changing, because the unique platform of YouTube offers to the Nigerian offers to the Ghanaian, Cameroonian, Senegalese, Gambian, Sierra Leonean, and so on, the opportunity to see some platforms that can be reached, be it YouTube, be it Netflix, be it Showmax, be it cinema. So these platforms have expanded the territory of filmmaking, and that's why it's a different thing for us today in Africa. We are near where we can say that we are growing, and the growth is positive. There's a whole lot of work. The road to construction, the road to success is always under construction. We are not, it's a continuum. Nollywood is not an event, it's a process. It's a work in progress, and we will always progress. Thank you.
Absolutely. So movies are more than entertainment. They shape perceptions and narratives and serve as tools of cultural diplomacy. How do you see Nollywood films contributing to Nigeria's soft power? And in what ways can storytelling serve as a bridge between different cultures, including Russia and Nigeria?
Very, very good. In terms of what Joe asked, let's look at it from the cultural perspective. We sell our culture to Russia, they sell their own culture. We begin to tell them, just like when you go to England, or when, yes, you want to shake the Queen, you don't profile your hand first. So if you act that in a movie and somebody profiles his hand to shake, you say no. In Indian films, they don't kiss. In Indian films, they don't smoosh. Now you're selling cultures. So the way I see forward for Nigeria, for Africa, for the Russian Federation, is exchange of cultures. Movie making is a mirror of society. So we are social agents. By the time we bring our strengths together in the stories we tell, we shape our continents. We begin to see likelihoods. We begin to see differences, tolerable differences. We begin to enjoy our diversities. And I think it's a win-win situation for both continents.
Great. So Russia has a rich film history like Nollywood. And Nollywood is known for its fast-paced production and compelling storytelling. If you were to co-produce a film with the Russian film industry, what themes or narratives would you explore that could resonate with Nigerian and Russian audiences?
Very lengthy one. Areas of collaboration, areas of storytelling that could add strength are not in short demand. They are ever present. In terms of what are the cultures in Russia? Like I said in the last question, what are those things that make both nations or both continents tick? What are those areas that are their strengths and weaknesses? What are those, like Igbos will say, nso? What are those do's and don'ts which that could make the two continents or the two nations be at peace with each other? That a Nigerian will come into the Russian Federation and already understands it from the film he watched, that you don't do this when you get into Russia. For instance, if you remember Osofia in London, Osofia went and he was looking for agege bread in London. He was looking for agege bread. What if because when we watch Russian films, we see the salute of their military, very fast paced and so on. So there are resonating traditions. There are strengths that each movie industry could borrow from the other. But we are not going to contrast. We will start comparing when a story is written of what to impute and what to delete that will make both relations stronger. But the fact it remains that in selling what Nigeria holds, we always don't want to compare ourselves to kissing a Russian girl or kissing a Nigerian man and so on. It may not be our selling points. It's in the story of the understanding there are certain elements that could be infused that will make the Russian Federation fall in love with the Federal Republic of Nigeria in storytelling, in execution, in accent. Because one, the Russians are known with their language. They don't speak English. So we could do a story where somebody is trying to sabotage an environment by speaking the Russian language or by speaking Igbo. And they ultimately, at the end, it could be a Russian whose father was raised in Nigeria who understands. And at the end, the peace could be made to say, don't ever underrate by using your language to preach this because you don't know who is listening. I'll stop it at this.
Yeah, perfect. So international partnerships can lead to skill sharing and advancements in filmmaking techniques. How can Nollywood leverage collaborations with the Russian film industry to improve technical aspects such as cinematography, special effects, and post-production?
I will tell you in very few words that Nigeria has a lot to take from the Russian Federation in terms of technicals. Russia is more advanced than Nigeria. We cannot hide that fact. Russia has come a long way in terms of technological advancement and development. So in terms of the trade, we have the resource in terms of human resource for the acting, but we will depend more on Russia for technicals, camera, and so on, when we are to engage in any kind of partnership. I'm not going to be patronizing my country here by saying advanced we are, we can hire cameras here. Yes, we have our cameras here. We shoot for Netflix. We shoot for make our own movies and cinema and so on. But give it to Russia as an advanced federation that in terms of collaboration, we will seek for more than technical advancement to get our two industries to benefit from it.
Yeah, so that shifts us to the economic benefits. So what economic benefits do you think a Nollywood and Russian film collaboration could bring, not just for filmmakers, but for actors like you, film crews, and local businesses in both countries?
Well, you have to understand one thing. Has it been done before? Collaboration between Nigeria and the Russian Federation? The answer is no. So people would want to know, what is it that the Federal Republic of Nigeria industry, Nollywood, is doing with the Russian Federation film industry? That alone sparks a detinue of creating a market that people want to see, creating a market that people want to identify with. So it's going to be a very huge one in terms of investment. And I don't see any losses any of the groups is going to. One, movie making generates a whole lot of revenue for cast and crew. And there's no exception in what Nigeria we gain. There's also no exception in what the Russian Federation will gain in terms of actors development, cast and crew resource, and so on. So it's a huge one for both nations.
Great. So that leads us to, how can Nollywood expand its audience in Russia? Because it's very, very crucial. Because we have several streaming devices that are homegrown here in Russia.
The thing is this. There's nowhere you go to that Nigerians don't live. There is also no place you go to that Africans don't live. Africans are always a major first patrons of any product identified with Africa. So it's the first customer base we have, Africans. And then they have Russian friends in the Russian Federation. They have people of other diverse and ethnic origins. This forms the bulwark of the patrons of the product. So they are not in short supply, have never been. Even in countries that don't speak English. I mean, they have ways of transliterating whatever they have made in pictures.
Great. So, from your experience, how has Nollywood shaped African identity, and what feedback do you receive often from international audiences?
Well, it comes to concern, it's neither here nor there. There are people who receive information from a negative perspective. There are people who will tell you, you guys are doing great. There are people who will tell you you're painting a negative picture and so on. So it comes with different distance. But the fact of the matter is that Nollywood has been a blessing to Nigeria, to Africa. I mean, the level of job or the amount of job it generates is humongous. The amount of goodwill it creates for the African. If you remember, Chimuchem, before now, when you go outside the continent of Africa, they will ask you about Nigerian football. How is JJ? How is Kano O? How is Finidi George? How is this? They don't ask you about football players again. They ask you about Nollywood actors. Is that not an engagement internationally?
It is.
Is that not the highest form of goodwill created for a country?
Absolutely, it is.
Ultimately, there is no shop where Russian films are sold. There's no shop where American films are sold. But in every continent in the world, there's a place where Nigerian films are sold. I rest my case.
Great. So, what do you see as the biggest challenges in a potential Nollywood-Russian co-production in the future, and how can they be overcome?
One, finances. Two, finances. Three, finances. And when I talk about 1, 2, 3, I'm talking about sponsorship. It has always been, and that's why I pray this collaboration or this partnership works, has always been a cog in the wheel of progress, raising finances to make content here in Nigeria. So if we get to start something where finance will not be an issue for the stories that are going to be developed, then we are going to jump very high.
Great. So our last salvo for the day is the next phase of Nollywood will be shaped by innovation, collaboration, and emerging talents. Where do you see Nollywood in the next 10 years, and what role will international partnerships like that of Russia and Nigeria play in its growth?
If we could develop Nollywood from feeding allowances husbands were given to their wives, which they give to their younger brothers to go and make movies. If we could develop Nollywood from unstructured financial process, where people just gather some little change and make films. If we could develop Nollywood from suffering, from owing people just to see that content is produced, I want to assure you that we develop Nollywood by sweat and blood. Some of us are getting old and they say we're aging graciously. It's not been easy what you see. It's more than what you're looking at. I have been a product of this industry. I've been at the ringside from 1992 to date. And I keep on being in the main ball of where the match is played, still understudying the industry, still producing and still acting. And I can tell you on a very final note that if we bring in finances, technicals, we are going to have 5 years, 10 years, and it will be a win-win situation for the Russian Federation and Nigeria, where actors, producers, crew members, and so on will gain ultimately with a sound resource and a greater income. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. It's been a wonderful time with the legendary KOK. That's Kanayo, one of Nigeria's professional and prolific actors. Thank you very much, and we'll be looking forward to collaborating with you in the future. And for us at Sputnik Africa, it's been a swell time. Have a wonderful day, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here.